I want to remind everyone, the English wants to encourage everyone that the HaAvud started last month, I guess it was, with the HaAvud incentive that everyone has supposed to write one HaAvud a month for an extra $50, so that is still Ayim V'Kayim, so we're encouraging everyone to write something, start writing to this Chalmai, and give it in this damas to the bench. It has to be time, only time. What? 2 pages, all the product you can speak in English. Okay. Okay, and in terms of the Hesped over here, so there's a lot of protein about the various different ways to water fields, the Zman Chazal, so the idea is to get the Yesoidus of Tafkuf Zayin, and to get the, which we're going to speak about hopefully some of them today, the Yesoidus and the Klolim of Davar HaAvud, and to try to move through Tafkuf Zayin quickly. There are a few halachas at the end that are not kasher to Davar HaAvud. Some of them have to do with schar pu'ula, so those we can skip for now. And to get to Tafkuf Lamed Ches, we're not going to spend much more time on these two simanim. We're going to spend a little more time. Should finish up Maspik. After Tafkuf Lamed Ches, we're going to go to Tafkuf Lamed Tes and Tafkuf Mem Beis. Now, Tafkuf Lamed Tes and Tafkuf Mem Beis are really the more halacha l'maisa aspects of Davar HaAvud, which is really pragmatia. Pragmatia HaAvuda, there's a few sugyas that you might have seen along the way in all these gemaras. Then of pragmatia HaAvuda, and that really gets into all the very, very nice things of business, opening a store, making a sale, and these types of things, which are really goyvel on B'niyas Revach and not hefsid. So that's the kibun to get to Tafkuf Lamed Tes, and after Tafkuf Lamed Tes really goes along with Tafkuf Mem Beis. So not to to try to get through these two simanim relatively. Al Kapanim, there are some very chashuv yisoidus over here. We'll try to bring out a few of them in Davar HaAvud. So the Gemara, the Mishnah, Mashkin based Hashlach and B'moyed, Mishnah's Mavur, that there's a heter, one of the heterim, like we saw in the Mishnah Brew in the beginning of Tafkuf Lamed, that he tells like all the series of heterim, the different things that are mutter for which tzrachim and cholamayit. And the derech klal, like we know, the most chamer and perhaps the only thing that's going on at Isser Deraisa is the problem of doing malacha shlo tzarech hamayit. Anytime you're doing malacha tzarech hamayit, halacha mishruz machriya, we get out of the shaylos of Deraisas. Even if it's a tzarech yisera, and even if it's a ma'aseh uman, as long as it's tzarech hamayit, that's the ikar heter of Chazal and of the Torah. If you hold malachas hamayit Deraisa, so the ikar problem we have is to do a malacha shlo tzarech hamayit. Like the Ramban says in Psukim, the main heter we have to do malachas shaloi l'tzarech hamayit is l'tzarech Davar HaAvud. That either Chazal or Nitzer Adav Chacham and the Torah mattered in one oifen to do malacha where your main purpose has nothing to do. You have no tzarech today. Just pashut, your field is going to dry up. Your beis hashlachin is going to dry up, and you're going to be mafsid your crops, your field, your tree, and that's all these various mishnayos of your aruga, your zraim, your vegetables, your fruits, all these things of it's a problem of a Davar HaAvud. It's a problem of losing the thing, even though you have no tzarech for another. If you want to save it, and Chazal matter to do malacha with tzarech. The Davar HaAvud. Now, I assume everyone saw on the sheets there's the Maramakam with the Ritva, that the Ritva seems to be bothered a little bit by this point. So, how taka did we matter Davar HaAvud? So, if it's the Rabban, it's B'chal not shver, and if it's the Raisa, like we discussed way back, Nitzer Adav Chachamim, and Yesh Karach Biyadim to be matter, so they matter Davar HaAvud. But the Ritva says a Knech, that L'Olam, Davar HaAvud is also Kasher to Tzarech HaMayit, because a person who has problems and daigas that he's losing his whole field and he's losing his money, so mainly he's going to have daigas and tirdus on Cholamayit itself. So there is a tzarech achag to relieve him of his anxiety and his tsar hanefesh. So we matter the Davar HaAvud. So ulafizeh b'yisoy b'shayrish Davar HaAvud also somehow gets included in the heter of tzarech hamayit b'fi the ritva. Last week we pointed out it's also shtekol we do like that in the Ramban and the Psukim. It's called Yosef Ayin Shom.
Is it clear though that harvacha is klar not something?
No, harvacha meaning what do you mean harvacha?
Not Davar HaAvud, meaning I just want to make.
Meaning to do on Chol Moed. Let's say so we'll see. That's Kipshuta, yeah. Kipshuta meaning why does a person do malacha on Chol Moed? Let's say Achar Moed. Why would he do that? because he has some need for Achar Moed, that's Arbacha. So Kipshuta, that's as then never Zok Rabban, that's where you could be over this to the rise.
We don't start not getting that.
So that's Medias Ravach and Chanavi. So we're going to start getting a little bit. I'm going to mention one very big Kiddush of the Ravid and the Rosh in Medias Ravach, but Bigadol, yeah, that's the Isser. That is good for the Isser Deraisa if you're doing Malacha, because doing Malacha, we're not talking about Shalot Tzarech Klal. You met someone who's doing something with Tzarech Achar Amoyed. So that will clear even if you have some kind of Te'elah, some kind of Revach, some kind of Tzarech, but the Tzarech is not for today. So that's
You're doing Harbacha to have money for a Moed.
For the Moed itself, that's a different story. Yeah, we'll see. That's Payol Shemar Yechal, or to be married to some that's a different story. Okay. Fine. So Afal Pi, that Lefi this Ritva, it's Geschmack, that Davar is also a Chelek of Tzarech Amoyed. L'maisa, like it's Mavur in many places, it's a Besonder Heter, like the Mishnah tells in Reckon, you talk of Lamed. And B'chayra, B'chrachim anu loy markein, that it's a separate heter of Davar Aved, for the simple reason that we find bigger kulas, some chumras as we'll see, but also bigger kulas in Davar Aved that we don't find by regular Tzarech Hamoed. And that the Iker Zach that we find is Maisa Uman. So Hagam that by regular Tzarech Hamoed, L'famim kein, L'famim loy, like we spoke by Riches a number of times, but the basic klal is that if it's Eichel Nefesh, Machir Eichel Nefesh, and that must we do matter even a Maisa Uman. But for Shar Tzarech Hamoed, which is all the halachas that are born in Simon Tav Kufmen, Tav Kufmen Aleph. So Chazal were magdol the heter of Tzarech Hamoed, and that's rather than tackle only Isser Derabanan, like the Dershowitz says. But that Isser Derabanan is not to do a Ma'aseh Uman Shar Tzarech Hamoed. Mashi Enkein, for Davar Aved, we see that there's no Hagabala, there's a bigger heter. So even if B'Yesod or B'Shayrish we could somehow be Mishtayich the heter of Davar Aved to Tzarech Hamoed because you have Daigas, obviously Chazal were market this heter beyond the regular Tzarech Hamoed.
So now they're Tircha.
Yeah, then you get to both cases. Chumras and Kus. So it's Besonder Halacha, even if B'Shayrish has some Shaykh to Tzarech Hamoed. Now, okay, so Be'ikar I want to really speak about this, the Mugyesim and the Ravid and the Gather of Tircha and Davar Aved. But just Teres Hakdama, I think there's a very chashav ha'ara here, the Gabe the din of Ma'aseh Uman and Davar Aved. And that is that if you learn the sugyas of Davar Aved, so it's a Pella, and the emphasis we had this ha'ara also in Tafkuf Lamedvav, the Gabe Rechiva, that a lot of people bother. For Tzarech Rechiva, do we matter Ma'aseh Uman or only Ma'aseh Hedya? It's not clear. With clipping the horse's toenails, Ma'aseh Hedya, Ma'aseh Uman, it's shaykh to the question of fixing a car. Is there a special heter that Chazal gave a dispensation for Tzarech Rechiva that's like Tzarech Aguf, it matters, it doesn't matter? So this is something that's so not mefurish that it's just the machlokes behind the Gepoiskim, whether we assume it was Ma'aseh Uman, not Ma'aseh Uman. And that's a shayla l'maisa. Could you fix your car, tzarech rechiva only with a ma'aseh hedyot, or can you actually take it into the shop and do a ma'aseh? Fine. So, who had din Magabi Davar Aved? If you learn through all the sugyas in the beginning of the first parak, beginning of the second parak, all the questions of Davar Aved. So we know one thing is very clear. The Gemara is madgish many times over. Kedarka. That's famous machlokes tanoim. That's machlokes tanoim daf Yibez, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. That Rabbi Yehuda holds over there. We're talking about for your wine or for your oil. And Rabbi Yehuda, Shitas the Tana Rabbi Yehuda is that you have to be mamayit, not be mamayit, you have to be meshane. You can't make a regular raguf sachavas. You can't finish being seichet all your zaysim. You have to be meshane. Shitas Rabbi Yossi man tane shinoi b'davar avei deloi. However you read that Gemara, but the point being we're saying who is the shita that holds you don't need a shinoi? That's Rabbi Yossi. So we know that there's some kind of a halacha that Rabbi Yehuda was machadesh that you have to do a shinoi when you're being oisik in a davar aved, and you have to be meshane. You have to make a funny kind of a cover. The Gemara says for your oil, sherbet's oil, for your wine, and for the oil you can't finish the process. You can only start the process. And Rabbi Yossi is machadesh kedarka. So where be'emes do we know imishum ha? So Rabbi Yossi says kedarka. Maybe it's only ma'aseh hedyot. Maybe taka it's the same iser ma'aseh uman. So in the Gemara it's not before. So will we assume that making a magufas hachavis is automatically a Ma'aseh Uman? Maybe. So then it'll be like the same random discussion by the hooves of the... So is it a Ma'aseh Uman, is it a Ma'aseh Hedyot? Everyone could bring Svaras Lakan Lakan. So the Ma'aseh is Mefurish that we matter Ma'aseh Uman the Davar Aved. But it's only Mefurish mitoich Devar Shonim and mitoich Diyukim Devar Shonim. It's more than Diyukim, it's Emes Mefurish in Taisvus. But the Ma'aseh Haloi Davar that it's only mitoich. Now where is the Taka mitoich? Where do we know that Davar Aved is mitoich? So the first Ma'ar Makom is Taisin Daf Yud. I think that's the main Ma'ar Makom. The Taisin Daf Yud is talking about the Sugya of Taifra, Tfira, Hedyot, Taifra Kedarka. That's the Iker Sugya, let's say, of Ma'aseh Uman, Umas Ma'aseh Hedyot. So it's a Tzarech HaMoed to sew your beged. Uman has to make a Shinoi. Ma'aseh Uman's also unless he makes a Shinoi. And Hedyot, Taifra Kedarka. So Tyson Dafyut says, what are we talking about? What is this case? Says Tyson, you can't be talking about a Davar HaAvud, and if you don't sew up your beged, it's going to totally get destroyed. Because if we would be talking about a Davar HaAvud, then we pass like Rabbi Yossi, Kedarka. We don't need a shina for a Davar HaAvud. And the Mela, what Tyson is saying is, we would not require the Uman to be machlif. We would not require the shinoi of an Uman, meaning we'd be mater Maisa Uman Kedarka. Kach mevur b'divrei HaTosfos, that for a Davar HaAvud, Nichlal in Shitas Rabbi Yossi is not just that he's arguing on Rabbi Yehuda, that Rabbi Yehuda was mechayiv to make a shina, but also it goes so far as to say that Kedarka Tamid, even if it includes a Maisa Uman. Kach mevur in Tosfos. The HaAvud, it's also mevur by the din of Tikkun Kaisel Degina and Kaisel L'Chatzor the Sugin Daf Zayin. So there we see, the Gemara says that for Kaisel Degina, it's not such a big hefsid, because only your neighbors are going to come in and maybe walk on your zroim a little bit. It's a little bit of hefsid. You can only do a ma'aseh head. You can't be tach petit. You can make kaisel, not tach petit. Says the Gemara, but if it's a kaisel chatzir, not kaisel gina, kaisel chatzir, and Ganvi could come and make you grace hefsedim, so there you could be binding kedarka even tach petit. So there also the MS, the sprach of the Gemara is kedarka umas, not kedarka, not tach petit. Let's call it a shinoi to a certain extent. So, but we do know that if we compare the Gemara and Daf Zayin to the Gemara and Daf Yud Aleph, and the Gemara and Daf Yud Aleph is also talking about different types of binyamin, fixing your gag, fixing different things. So it's mavur over there that when you make a koisel with hoots of a dafno, or you limit yourself to not using cement, that's called a ma'aseh hedyot. You make a full-fledged wall kedarka, that's a ma'aseh uman. So it's mavur toich kedei that for your koisel chatzir, where you have a problem of ganvi coming in, that the Gemara says you can do kedarka, it's mavur, it also includes a ma'aseh uman. So l'chor nachum makar. And kachi alacha psuka that for I think the Mishnah Rebbe speaks it out. I'm giving tough kuflam that for Davar HaAvud we matter kedarkoi, and that kedarkoi is koilo even a ma'aseh uman. So what's that? Yeah, even if not, like I think that would apply even if you're going to your in-laws for Yom Tov and you're not going to. So the nekuda I just want to bring out is that it's Omer Darsheni. That this is all klachriya. If you make a cheshbon from Daf Zayin to Daf Yud Aleph, so it comes out that the kedarka matter is also ma'aseh uman. And Tosfos himself says a klachriya. Tosfos on Daf Yud says. So it's mutter kedarka. So what's the Gemara talking? It's not Davar HaAvud because if Yossi kedarka, we could almost ask the kash on Tosfos like, who told you that matter is ma'aseh uman? If there's a bezunder iser ma'aseh uman, so that wasn't the discussion of Yossi. Yossi was talking about making finishing some kind of skita zaysim and making a cup for your barrel. So maybe it's all ma'aseh hedyot. So Shtein Tosfos that no, it's even for ma'aseh uman. But what I'm trying to bring out is that tzas mashma mitoich the pashtus of the sugya of the divrei harishonim that was not the hadgasha. That the whole noise of Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda is only kedarka or shinoi, and it's mashma from the rishonim that's the same idea by ma'aseh hedyot and ma'aseh uman. It's all just a noise of is it kedarka or is it with a shinoi. So. So we spoke about this a number of weeks ago. The question is, what is the aside of the Isser Ma'aseh Uman and the Heter Ma'aseh Hedyot? Is it that Chazal matter or all Ma'aseh Hedyot, or no? It's a question of Chazal required a Shinoi and a Ma'aseh Hedyot is a Shinoi. And so the one example we spoke about a few times already was the question of sewing the button. And if we assume for a second, just for argument's sake, I know there's a big almost about that in the koil, there's different ways to sew buttons, but assuming you have something that's not shaykh to do in two ways, just one simple uvda way to do it, do we say that requires a shinoi? So we were medayik a few places, I left out the Marmar Karmis here, a number of Marmar Karmis, I think it's one of the earliest sure of the Marmar Karmis, Mishabur, in a few places talk about shinoi, that it's alt shinoi, and bikoyach, these diukim in the Shabura, there are some places in that takatayim, and anytime it's not shaykh a shinoi, if it's a ma'aseh hedyot, which is the normal way to do it, we were medayik to be halacha like that, so then it might be usher. Even if I said it might be usher. So I'm just pointing out that there's certainly some indication for that mahalach in the pashtus of the sugi of Davar HaAvud and this shitas Rabbi Yossi of where it's only a shayla of kedarka, not kedarka. And just move on the milig and the meilo to Tosfos and to the Rishonim. And of course, kedarka means also ma'aseh uman. So it's mashma that the whole problem of ma'aseh uman was that it was kedarka, and the whole heter of ma'aseh hedyot was that it was a shina. Halacha l'maisa, I don't think it's mukhrach. I think that l'maisa, if there's something that's a simple procedure and a simple act, it is a ma'aseh hedyot. A ma'aseh hedyot is mutter. And there's a lot of rayas for that, and everyone could, make a list of them as you go along. Just in Tafkuf Lam Zayin itself, the Seif HaSimen, there's a few examples of different things that Gemara and Daf Yud matters. There's many indications we get to that seem to. We brought the raya from the Tzudas Dagim, one potential raya, but there's a lot of different cases where you find that Chazal just mattered something they didn't require a shina. And l'chayra, it's not a stira, and the point is that in a chanami, even if what we're being done is true, that the emes hedyot and uman is really an issue of shinoi, not shinoi. That just means that when there's a way to do a malacha with a mais uman, and there's a way to do it with a mais hedyot, Chazal mechayev you to do the sug-based way of doing it, to do the mais hedyot. I don't think that's a steer to saying, but if there's something where it's just arbitrary, certain things you can only do with mais uman, certain things you can only do mais hedyot, there still is an objective musig of what is a mais uman and what is mais hedyot. So even if there's only one way to fix an air conditioner, and that's a mais uman, it would still be called a mais uman. And if there's only one way to sew a button, but that's a simple procedure, so it's a mais hedyot. And Chazal would matter that mais hedyot. It's not necessarily a steer to what we're saying, that to what you see from this sugya, that certainly the question of uman and hedyot certainly has something to do with kedarka and kishinoi, the mavur with divrei hatosos. Yeah,
meaning everything we just said is klapi the heter of tzorchei hamoyed. But once you'll go into the sugya of Davar Aved, we pass in Rabbi Yossi. So taka, even on the tzad that there was only one level, it's mutter. This thing with the button is
if you,
not mitzad Davar Aved, it's only mitzad tzorchei hamoyed.
Yeah, I'm just saying ha-gufa, tzorech tzazbir, where do we see in Rabbi Yossi had the V'mais So, in a chanami, it's klar, mamish klar, you're saying that once we're in Davar Aved and we pass in Rabbi Yossi, the kedarka clearly from Tosfos includes even mais uman, b'shufi.
Meaning it could
that itself indicates something which will have a big hashlacha, which has a big nafkamina klapi tzorchei hamoyed. It indicates that the whole idea of the idea of tefira, let's say, is a question of kedarka, not kedarka. So then, mishitas Rabbi Yossi b'Davar Aved nishma l'didan b'tzorchei hamoyed. That wait a second, where's the shinu?
Right. Meaning if it'll taka be Aved, then you won't need one, and if it is, then the button is a problem. If it's just atu tzorchei hamoyed,
it would sound like you don't have the shino, it's a problem. Right.
But if it's outside Davar Aved,
right,
sure,
100%. So I'm just saying that afal pikein, sort of ayin was ektzas, but I think afal pikein, I don't think it's mukhrach. I think there is still makom to say that if you have something which is an objectively simple malacha to do, so that is still nechshav ma'aseh hedyot, even though it's not umas, a better way to do it, and even though it's not a shinoi. But the musik of davar of ma'aseh hedyot still has a pirish kishala atzmai that a simple act, a simple malacha is still considered ma'aseh hedyot. Like the end of Tov Kuzman Zayin, there's a few halachas over here about different things that it's telling your kavanah. If you're doing it trimming your tree, being miyasher your field, being koitzer. It's a halachas to open up a ditch in your in your field, to go fishing. There's numerous different cases. We don't find any t'nai that you have to make a shina. As long as it's tzorchei hamoyed, it's mutter. You call malacha shalu tzorchei hamoyed. Okay. So that's been the makam hakadama. To understand sheish la'ayin, and we'll see a little bit more as we go on Tov Kuflam Ches, that which this is one of the shaylas, like we spoke many times, one of the shaylas that comes up very, very lemaisa, the question of mattering something which is a chash ma'aseh uman b'chol hamoed. Like we spoke about all the appliances and all the different types of things we need to fix. So last week we were mala a different stadam lahako because of tzarchei haguf, tachshitei noshim, things that are absolutely necessary that you can't be soivel without them. But so if you had dvarim elu, it's just nacha ha'ara that something which is not shayach hashinui, and there's makom to say at least that ma'aseh hedyot might not be a heter by itself. Fine. So the ma'aseh, that's what's meduyik. We have a diuk that davar aved has a special heter. Kedarka, and kedarka we're saying includes even a ma'aseh. So that's mitzad echad has a special kula of ma'aseh. Midach is what's mamish before we don't have to medayik from Tosfos and Daf Yud is the chumrah that we find by davar aved. The chumrah of davar aved we don't have by tzorchei hamoyed, and that is Turkey Yisera. Yeah, Bob Amida that the Gemara, the Mishnah right away says mashkin beis hashlachin, and all the first Mishnayos and the first Sugis and the first Parak, for every davar aved that the Mishnah and the Gemara matters, everything comes with hakbalas. You're allowed to be mashkin beis hashlachin, but only with meimayim, not with mekshamim or meikiva. And all the cases of arugas and zrayim and fields, everything comes with hakbala that can't be done with what? Kipshuto seems to be a Tirchi Yisera. You have to go into the well and dig, you go very deep to draw out the water. That's a Tirchi Yisera. It doesn't matter, even a Davar Aved, meaning Ein Chanami, you're going to lose whatever you're going to lose. Your thing's going to dry up. It's going to get ruined. Davar Aved is only one to believe Tirchi Yisera. Okay. So, that's in Zach that there's Svaras and Fuchos. And for Tzarech HaMoyed, we don't matter Maisa Uman, but there's no Hagbal of Tirchi Yisera. That's the first in the Ramban, Pivu Gadim. There are some factors on that. That's Pashas Halacha, that you don't find such Hagbal. And the Idach Yisra Davar Aved, we matter Kedarka, which we're saying includes Maisa Uman. Yet we limit Tirchi Yisera. So that we discussed in the past. Maybe some possible svaras why Davar Aved they didn't answer my Zoom when they matter Tirchi Yisera. So we're not going to go back over that now. We spoke about that I think 2 or 3 sure ago. But Al Kapana, that's the halacha. And that's the halacha Mufareshes that for a Davar Aved Hagan that we matter halacha Kedarkoi, not to make a shina. Meaning in Rabbi Yehuda's case, you don't have to stop in the beginning of the second paragraph. You could be soichet all the zaysim, and you could make a cover for your wine barrel. But Kipshuta, that's only to matter something that's Kedarka, but not Tirchi Yisera, which is all the tirchas of watering with all kinds of various Ifanim. And Akidekach, you see in all these sugyas in the beginning of Simon Tavkuf Zayin, that Chazal were maflig mo'id b'chumras davar zeh. And even when you have water readily accessible, but you're going to be doing it in a way that it's a chashash, that it can come to cause you to do a Tirchi Yisera, they ask her even b'chi agav. So,
That's the Yom Tarit we started with.
why?
Because it's Tzarech HaMoyed, because he's going to end up having a hefsek.
And therefore it's
We wanted to shtel too between Tzarech HaMoyed and Davar Aved, and here we're saying that just because it's going to chashash Tirchi Yisera, you won't allow the Davar Aved.
In a sense, because the whole thing is that you should get back to your simcha, but if you're going to be the whole time Tirchi Yisera, so then...
Okay, so Shimon is saying the Svara, that the Tirchi Yisera itself is Hagufa Yasser Skar Befseda. It's going to be matriach yourself the whole Chalmai. But in Echanami, I think the Pashup Pshat is just that it's an indication of Echanami. These are 2% of halachas and 2% of Etheim, and even though the Ritter wants to be Mishtayich, everything in Tzarech HaMoyed, and it's Pashas L'Shitasa that he passes like the Ramban. And L'fi the Ramban, we know that Iker Zachas has to be Tzarech HaMoyed. So he brought the Heter of Davar Aved also a little bit in Tzarech HaMoyed, but Maisa is a separate column. Now, so then Muki Yosef on Daf Dalid brings a right. And he's going there on the sugya of medalin liyirakos. That's all the different cases of water that are for a davar which he feels going to dry up. So on Daf Dalid, Gemara says, what if I'm not doing it for davar aved? What if I'm watering my cucumbers because I want to make them nice and plump and juicy to eat them on cholamoid l'tzarech hamoid? Gemara says, so it's totally. If you're watering your vegetables with tzarech achila b'mayit, then it's mamash oichal nefesh. So you can do tircha, you can do alt, everything's mutter. Mashiach Kain, if you don't plan on eating these vegetables, or maybe it's not even shaykh to eat these vegetables, but the point is that you're watering these vegetables to improve them, lahashbichan shelo yotzar chamayit. So that's usher, because that's malacha shelo yotzar chamayit. And again, we're talking about oifen that either it's not a davar avid, so you don't have heter of davar avid, or it's a davar avid, but you can't matter with Tirchi Yisera. So that's the Gemara. Zakna Muki Yosef. These vegetables that you're watering for la'achar hamoed, even if they're going to taka be nifsad a little bit, so a hefsek koldu is no heter. No heter of davar avid for hefsek koldu. And so up there, that's shitas ha'ravid also. And it is the question of the ravid, and the yisoid of the ravid, which is the yisoid gadol, in the din of davar avid, as we'll see, a lot of nafkaminas l'maisa come out with divrei ravid. The ravid has a question. If you look at all the chumras we see in the first paragraph, so you're not allowed, if you have a ruga achas, that's chetzio nemucha, chetzio gavoya. So you're not allowed to even climb up the hill a little bit to water your field. That's already a problem. And gzeiros are to gzeiros. Frank the Ravid. So mitzad echad, it sounds like we're being machmer for call it Tirchi Yisera. Yisera is an arbitrary term, but l'maisa for these types of things we're machmer. U'idach kisa, very nice if you only matter kedarka, but let's look at the things we were matter. To do a ganza oil press, to make a complete cover for your wine barrel. Ubi yoiser zok the Ravid. It's first Gemara daf your base. Gemara daf your base talking about zoysen achavis, talking about pitching and tarring your chavis. And the Gemara is mavur that for a big chavis, when you have to put zefes on it, a big chavis is a big tircha. And the Gemara is mavur. There's 2 lashonis in the Gemara. If you're chayshish for tircha, chayshish for hefsek. Lamaisa, the Ravid assumes there, and that's the halacha, which is mufurish and shulchan aruch taf kuf lam ches, the beginning of the next sinnet, that for a big barrel, which the Gemara is made as a big tircha, we're matir, because it's a davar of it, because you're going to lose your shemen, or whatever, you're going to lose your oil or your shemen, so you're allowed to be zovsin chabisa. So for the HaAvud, my high, we have a steer between all the halachas of the first parak and all the halachas we find in the second parak of yayin and shemen. That's also the question in the Ritva and Dafi Beis. The Ritva says tema gedola. It's a tema gedola that these halachas are not so to each other. So if they're so to each other, says the Ritva, what, you want to make the whole first parak the like hilchasa? Can't be. So Namis says it's interesting. You point out if you look at the tour in the tour in the beginning of Tafkuf Lamed Zayin, he kind of puts the two together. It's almost mashma like he wasn't bothered by the question. He puts it together. It's just we pass him like Yosi, and the Meila we matter everything kedarka, but not B'tirch Yaseiru. Like he puts that's the two halachas together. We pass him Yosi kedarka. The steer is that says the HaAvud, Pashut in the Metzias L'chari is pointing out that even though the Yisoid of Rabbi Yosi wasn't tircha, was kedarka, but look at the things we matter. We matter grois tirchas. The Gemara is made to put zephyrs on a barrel is a huge tircha. It's tircha Yaseiru. And to press your olives, the first Mishnah in Mishafach, it's a huge tircha. To make a magufas achavas kedarka like Rav Yossi Matis says the Rav, chutz from being a magufas achavas, it's also a huge tircha. I'm saying maybe there's makom to be faktik on this Rav, and maybe that's a little bit mash from the Torah.
And the cases that are
Mashenkin, the whole first parak is full of these kleina tirchas. Yachasi to these tirchas, the tirchas over there seem much smaller. Yet
but the first parak, it's not a Davar Aved.
Davar Aved, no.
Beis Abal.
Not Beis Abal, Beis Hashlachin. Beis Hashlachin is aser to make you to make shamim, and all the other cases, all the Davar Aved cases, we have a limitation. It can't be a Davar Aved. It can't be a tircha yisera. That's a tircha yisera, and it's not a tircha yisera. My hand. It says in Luki Yosef Shem the HaAvud, the tirates, yisoika. Shekol davar zeh nimtzul hachachamim, veheim ra'u sheloi kol hapanim shavim. Ella lefi avedasai yitiru es tircha. Zok the HaAvud, the whole thing is a sliding scale. Every tircha yisera that we aser, there was no klal that tircha yisera is aser. Every tircha yisera is leumas how much hefsid you're up against. Meaning, is this a type of tircha yisera that's worth it? Tircha yisera really, Zok the HaAvud means it's yisera midai. For this type of a hefsid, you can't do that type of tircha. Masha'en kain for shemen and yayin and chavisa gedola, where it's a groisa hefsid, Zok the HaAvud, then we mati. Tak also groisa tircha. V'kachim divrei haritva dafi beis. And the Ramban brings us in the Psakim, he's Meshabeh. He says, Yafa Akiva and HaAvud. And that's also Chayra Al Derech Zuz before in the Chinuch. The Chinuch Mitzvah Shem Chav Gimel says, the same idea, that even though we find that in certain Oifanim, the Mishnah is saying, too bad, lose your field. Says the Chinuch, no, not so fast. It means going to dry up a little bit, it's not going to be so geshmak, it might dry up, but any Hefsid Gomer Vada Yubarer, Hitiru Afilu, Tirchi Yisir. Where's the mouth? Yeah. It's a Chiddush God, and we'll see there's two Lashonis. Some of the Lashonim, the Chinuch has Lashon of Vadai, but let's leave Vadai. Let's say Vadai is Aser. But what's Mufurish in the HaAvud and the Ritva, the Vadai going to lose what? It says the Ritva, you had a little bit of stuff growing. It wasn't talking, I'd say fine, it wasn't talking about huge amounts. And if it is, that's what the Gemara says. Rav Chatzit Chatzta. Rav was Kaitzer his whole field. Why? Because it's a Tircha Yisera. Even though it was a Tircha Yisera, because it was a Hefsek Gadol. It was a Vadai Hefsek Gadol, then it's what they're out across the board.
How do you mark that?
Oh, how you mark that? This is beautiful. That's good for the question. It makes the whole thing kind of akuros, you would call it, I guess, right? So how are you supposed to know what's hefsed?
And we're still not to the tircha.
This is the problem. I am this thing. It's a Moed Gezach. It's a Moed Gezach. There's a kolboy that the Daki Moshe brings, and the kolboy says that whatever's mutter, you're allowed to mashkin beis hashlachin with meimayim. Right? So dugmas davar zeh, something that's not called a tircha yisera, let's just say arbitrarily, something that we wouldn't consider tircha yisera, it's mutter. It says the kolboy, but still anything can be made in tircha, you have to be made. And the Ramah Paskins that it's about. So it sounds like some kind of chumrah, zolzol hamayid, it's a kolba, the Ramah brings a kolba, it should still be made in tircha, it's shmak to be made in tircha. Says the guy, what's the makar for this kolba? The right. He quotes the whole right, but the question that I have what's the point? I think there are one the kolba bothered by your problem. If everything's yachasi, this much hefsed, this much difference. There's going to be certain things you're going to say, wow, that's a tircha yisera, that we can't be matir. But even the things that we do matir, what's the Rebbe telling you? That Chazal only really matir yachasi, what's worth it and what's necessary and what's kedai for this type of hefsed. So it's hard to know. So even the things that I guess we're assuming and we're going to paskin, and we'll be machriya that's not a tircha yisera. You should always be ma'id, because that's the whole ruach hadvarim of Chazal. We're only going to matter the amount of tircha that's necessary, but more than that already might be tircha yisera.
Just do the minimum, but no more.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's what the Kol Bosh paskin. And the Goin says the Kar Davar Zeh is al pi the Ravid. That's the whole. This is the problem that the Ravid gets us into in the sugya. That if you're going to say everything's arbitrary, luchmas to have something luchmas tircha, so in Echanami you're going to have to be very careful. So we'll try to bring out some cases that are examples that are lachon.
The minimum is within the mice and not within the whole time malacha, yeah? I don't have to get myself added on this test.
Right. Meaning, again, and that's really, that brings out the Chiddush of Rabbi Yossi, Kedarkoi. Meaning, if he's this, you tell me, say this, Pascal Rabbi Yehuda, do the minimum required. Do a shinoi, make a weird cover for your chavez. No. Al zeh we paskin Kedarkoi. Afilu that we paskin Kedu Kedarkoi, Tircha is the other problem. Tircha, which like we spoke about in the previous week, what's the aside from Tircha? Tircha means you can probably call Silsal Moed, and be Fatrachtal, Chol Moed with all your Asakim. So you have to be made in Tircha. So if it's on this type of a sliding scale, so in Echanavi, you always have to be made by left.
Meaning really, according to the Ravid, the Iker is Davar Avi. And if I hit a real Davar Avi, Tircha is no longer a limitation.
We'll see. So what the Ravid is saying, that's a Mefresh Halach and Shulchan Aruch. Because it says in Shulchan Aruch, if you have a barrel of wine, it's brown. And you're going to have to sit there and put the zefes, and you're going to have to put pitch and tar. It's going to be huge tircha, it's mutter. Now, the Beis Yosef Emes in the beginning of Tov Ches asks this question and says a different answer. So that's an interesting part. Beis Yosef asks this question. He says, "What's going on? We matter this tircha, not this tircha." He asks the same question to Ravid, and the Beis Yosef says that the first parak is different because the first parak is all malacha bekarka, the mechuber, and malacha bemechuber lachari means is avshim also tvei. It's a din in karkos. But lachari b'divrei kol yishayim it's before. It's not an afkamina necessarily mechuber dalish, but rather it's a question of is it worth it? Is this the type of thing that we matter this amount of tircha to be matter? So l'mashal, there's halacha that we discussed already in Tafkuf Mem. The din of fixing the your kaisel, the wall of your gina and the wall of your chatzor. So where it says the wall of your gina, there's a little bit of a hefsid. So who am I saying? The wall of your chatzor and kanvi are going to come. Then we can matter even kedarka. We can matter even more. The emphasis this Gemara Alain is a little bit mashma like the Ravid, that depending on how much hefsid, that's how much we matter. Okay. And the emphasis the Prima Gadim points this out. The Prima Gadim says in over there in Tafkuf Mem, I believe it's in the Ishlab of Sefrat Zayin. So he points this out. Building a koisel chatzar kedarka. That means building a wall, construction. Yeah, so that's the Tircha Yisera. So the Prima Gadim says it is. He says Enechanam is Tircha Yisera, and he comes onto these the Ravid that's it. But Dain Tzorachin. Tafkuf Mem Sifan Zayin Yishlabam. Vadayin Tzorachin, the Mashma Tafkuf Zayin, Tircha Yisera, Af Ovid Aser. Im Kim B'Koisel Beisa, Yish Terach Rav. Banei Kedarkoi. Same question as the Ravid.
You can answer, it's Tzor Chamayim. Maybe it's not how
the Mishnah goes like Mars said. Mars is not like that. Meaning, even if you're going to your shviger for Yontif and you're leaving your house, you're allowed to do this. No Tzor Chamayim, you're gone. Just protecting your house. Only from Gandhi, like the Rishonim say. Says the people
protecting them from
Im loish and echalek bein hefsid meruba biyoser. There's hefsid meruba, there's hefsid meruba biyoser. The tzarachin. But the tzarachin is only enough. People go.
I'm not protecting my house on the money. I'm afraid of going to
It's not called because if you're by your in-laws, what do you care what's happening down
in my house?
You know, we spoke about this many times. Killing your
Seder, that's again, that's the svara of the ritva, the yisoid and the shorish of the heter of Davar. But the etzem, again, when we talk in Chazal and in halachic terms about a tzarech and not tzarech, it means if you have a tail, it's today. So if your house is burning down, somewhere else, it's not. Okay.
I have somewhere to eat it.
So.
Wait, I'm just confused a second. We don't matter Maisa Uman for Tzarech HaMoed, but we matter Davar HaAvud.
Maisa Uman.
Maisa Uman.
That's the kul of Davar HaAvud.
And
the Megiddah Chisa, it's fakert l'gavi tircha.
what's the plan?
Yeah, so that's a big tzarchin. That's what we spoke about a few weeks ago. I said a svara like this. Without being married. It's this sometimes takes time. That Chazal asked Maisa Uman for Tzarech HaMoed because the head of Tzarech HaMoed is Tzarech. So in the Rabbanah they said, you don't have a Tzarech to the Maisa Uman. You get away with head. So That's not a tzarech for you. So, Kaviochel, they were magbil and mitzamtzing, what's your tzarech? Even though maker, then you could do a maisum. Hashem came gabi davar of it's anyway not tzarech hamayim. I know the side it might be, but the emes is not a tzarech hamayim. You're doing something shaloi tzarech hamayim. So my naf can mean a tzarech tzarech hamayim. Anything you do, even the mais head is shaloi tzarech hamayim. El mahitiru. So then there's no time to be b'chalak in hedir umah. No. What there is a time to do is like Shimon is saying tonight. You shouldn't be mamish the whole day, tirchi yisera, and forgetting b'chal tzonta. So maybe mistaver tzvei by davar aved. It was mistaver tzvei to chazal to aser tirchi yisera. But that's it. That's an open question. I looked around a little bit and didn't see any like pasha to answer that question. Okay. Now. So the emphasis, let's just get back to the binyan kaisel. Right? So you're fixing the wall of your thing. So says the Pri Megadim, you're fixing the wall of your kaisel chatzar, because the ganavim are going to come. You could do maisi uman, because it's davar avid. And you could do even terchi yasera. I terchi yasera shver, we have the ravid. The Pri Megadim says terchi, but we know we have a ravid, ritva, and you're showing, and that's the halacha. Lamizbainin, that's the halacha. Fixing your wine and your shemen, when it's going to be a huge hefsid, you could taka do a huge tercha to move those rishonim. Now, K'tzas Ra'ila Davar, this is Sugya Gufa. It's Mavur Kipshut in that Sugya. I don't know if everyone saw, you have to look back at the Sugya of Daf Zayin. The halacha is in the beginning of Tavkuf Mem, Sevala, very much halacha over there. It's Mavur L'chayr over there, that you're allowed to build if your wall falls down, like another we're going to come, you're allowed to build Kedarka, Mamish construction. Let's say your wall's a little shaky, and you want to knock it down and rebuild it. So then if it's Sakanas Nefash, it's going to fall on someone's head, yeah, you can be Saiser or Bain. But Kipshutai, I'm saying Kipshutai because I'm saying Machloik Zushoyim, Achreim, Ayin Sham, the base mayor. If your wall is shaky and you want to knock it down and rebuild it, not because of sakana, no sakana, because they got nothing, awesome. So why? It's a davar of it. Mimater for davar of it. Uman kedarkas. What's the problem? So he says the Magen Avram, and some of the Achreim say Pshat the Magen Avram sounds like not two malachas. One malach will allow. Tzas dugmas davar zeh soif tafkuf lam zayin ayin shavin ritva. The Shartim reads written like that. It's too much. So Nemesis, it's machlokes. It seems that some Rishonim and Beis Meir himself seems to be makel that for even if it's for Ganavin, you'd be allowed to be sois for Ganavin. But I'll call upon him. If you the Magen Avram, so what's the Yisrael Isser? So we'll hear the Davar. Bein Lufi the Ravid, Bein Lufi the Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef who thinks the whole thing's optional. The optional so it's too much optional. But even if we'll go for the halach like Rishonim, so it's too much. It could be it was Yachasi. We'll go back to the Ravid. To do Boine, that's a big tircha. Big tircha says the Pri Megadim for big hefsid. Say you can do it. But again, soiser to smash down one and to rebuild it. Maybe that's already too much for this hefsid.
Is it for this hefsid or maybe for...
Very nice. What does Pri Megadim say? But let's say, and I think that's Mesiz B'Manenu, I think Bismanehem, if Kanov came to your house, it was like bad. I don't know how bad it was. I don't know what they had in their houses. But let's say it's Klor Ganovim are going to come, says the Pri Megadim. Or I think, Hua did Hua Tam Bismanenu. For a person today, for his house to be robbed, it's Ayum V'Noir. It's like, it's going on Kukot Nefesh. You're saying your whole life is there, thousands and millions, papers, jewelry, I don't know what else you have in there. Says the Pri Megadim, if it's really, really bad, you can be meaning without the base mayor. The base mayor thinks it's the Stam Mutter. But even for the Magen Avram who holds that there's a Gemara that says you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to be Saiser Rabbaina. Why? Well, it's too much optional. So for the Rabbit, it's too much. Meaning again, we're back to the scale. So this much hefsid. So even though we're holding here by big hefsid, and a big hefsid is a big tircha, says the Pri Megadim, is nachadarga. If it's a super duper hefsid, that and for sure Ganavim are going to come, you're going to mamish lose everything. It's going to be crazy, terrible, terrible, terrible. That you can not even do Saiser Rabbaina.
So the fact that there's still a wall there, the stomach lowers the Ganavim.
Yeah, in the
So
Ganavim. He speaks about a Kosel Re'ua. It's going to fall down. Okay. So let's just talk about myself. I don't know. I think that's part of the question. But I think even without, for sure. I think once people read it, says like chash what? Bar, chash bar. But it's a chash bar.
Why can't you just build a new wall in front of the old one?
If you could, maybe you have to. So let's just talk about myself for a second. A person's front door gets the lock is broken on Kolomai. So let's say to fix that lock, you're going to bring an Uman. Let's say you bring a Yid before we get. Let's leave a Anir Akim out of it for now. You're going to bring a Yid. He's going to mamish be Turkey Series. We working 3 hours to drill through the thing, replace the whole thing. Mamish Turkey Series. So for a Pasha, it's mutter. Because if you can't lock your front door, if you can't lock your front door, maybe it depends where you live. Well, in some places they don't lock the door so much. Okay.
That's also.
In Yerushalayim, the locks don't help. They kind of. So.
That's if you go away. If you stay there.
Yeah, and the Pri Megadim says if it's a chashash, you can come to the nefashos that can hurt you, it's even worse. Let's say it's a chashash, the front door is not important. Now, so I saw in the Sefer of this whole light, he has the so let's say your lock is working and your surrogim are working. I think here that is less common here to have an alarm system. In America, many people have alarm systems, and most people have this feeling that when the alarm system is broken, you have to right away call the guy to fix it. So he's going to come, and he says, yeah, it's mamish messed up, we have to fix the box, change the thing, huge tircha, 5-hour job, huge job, tircha yisera, so it's a good question, I don't know. I think you have to be shoykel tuva before you make, and before you machmer, because you don't want to end up with all the tsar that the Ritva is trying to get us out of, to not have bagus and yontiv. But the derech klal, if you have bars on your windows and you have proper locks, would assume that for 3 days, 4 days to have the alarm system. Again, it depends where you live, I guess. If you live in downtown something, so
Don't know it's not working.
what?
Don't know
Right. Yes, I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know what does it take to get insurance, and you just call up and get insurance. What? Oh, if they call, you're saying. You're saying. For some insurance policies, if your alarm's not working, your insurance policy is not chab. That's not the cheshbon. But afal piking, again, I would think if your house is protected, so the tzad of being broken, it's a chash rachum. So I think Ein was a called brurim. Yeah. So like the Goin says, masha efshel yimayit. I think that would apply here. If you mamish feel like you live in a neighborhood and there's always neighbors, they kind of over here, some kufis over here, and you're called mamish crazy. But nothing stops now. The alarms, the bars, nothing.
Is it totally on the tzias or totally on how nervous the
It's both. It's a little bit both. I mean, usually it doesn't go, also every person's irrigation. Well, okay. So I'm just saying. So over there, I think he writes that if it's the derech, so you can fix an alarm system. I would think that if someone's house is properly protected and the alarm system, I think the derech klal to go 3 days without it. It's like maybe the hafchan is, if you'd call the alarm guy and you'd be like, okay, I'll come, but I can't come, I'm busy for a few days, I'll only come 3-4 days. Is it a matzah that you'll go find someone else, or you'll wait for the guy 3-4 days? Maybe that's a... I'm telling you, it's off. Anyway, maybe if you're going away, it's enough kamina. If you're going away, it's more of a chash to see the lights out. Say shine the doors. Okay, so mitzad echad, the kivun that we're taking out of the Ravid in these halachas is a kivun lakula. Says the Ravid, you have a problem with tircha yisera? No, if it's a big hefsid, I'm going to be making. Ubi yoiser is up to Pri Megadim, and if you have even a very big tircha of boine of a soiser, which medina the Gemara according to what the Rambam is aser, but if it's a mamish big, very curved labar type of a hefsid, you cannot even knocking down a wall, rebuilding it, mamish tach betit, getting a kablan to do the whole thing. That's the biggest tircha. Not speaking in matters. That's mitzad echad, and that would be told in these things, fixing your alarm system, which I think, and we could also argue about the question of tircha yisera. Is fixing an alarm with tircha yisera? Instead of ma'is umma, it's ma'is hedya. Depends what it involves. Okay, that's Michad Gisa. But the Idach Gisa, what's also Mavur in the Nemuk Yosef, is that this Ravid also leaves us the Chumbus. Because Vashdate in the Nemuk Yosef, Al Pi this Ravid, he says if you have something, that's a Davar Avid. Davar Avid, we know if it's not a Tirch Yisir, it's Mutter. He says the Nemuk Yosef change the Ravid, not so fast. It goes the other way also. If it's a very kleina hefsid, it's a hefsid koldu, but like by the Iraq, it can be nifsad ma'at, meaning that your vegetables will be a little more shriveled up. I don't know exactly how much. Something that people aren't good, it says that in makpidim does it. So if it's something that's a negligible thing that people are generally not, so even though it's a quantifiable davar of it, it's something you're going to lose. You have keren, you have vegetables worth $100,000, it's going to be worth $90. It's back going to go down. But something people are not so worried about. So the same svar of the Ravid that gives us all the coolest also gives us chumras. That there's a shear to davar of it. Now, I brought over here, I'm showing in the Makaris and Ois Tezayin, we certainly don't need Hefsid Maruba to Mata Davar Avid. That's klar. And the Rebbe says that's come out of first Gemara. And that's the halach at the end of Tav Kuf Lamed Vav about putting a chicken back on the egg to chase it down. So the Gemara there handles that question. The halach, the Mishnah Berurah says at the end of Tav Kuf Lamed Vav that you're allowed to put the chicken back on the egg It's a question of he already sat on it before, if you're going to be able to sell the eggs, not sell the eggs. The question of the hefsid of the eggs. It says in Mishnah Brura, it's really before Shemar and Tzachim Yinei, that even if it's a hefsid muat, mutter. And that's be'emes also before Taf Kufla Meches, because the Gemara says the big barrel and the small barrel. The Gemara is before that. A big barrel is a big hefsid, and a small barrel is a small hefsid. And la halacha, Taf Kufla Meches, even the small barrel, which is a small hefsid. So you see very, very clearly you do not need a hefsid meruba for Davar HaAvud. So we shouldn't make that mistake even if you're right. None of us. Yesh Gvul. It seems that even if you have not a hefsid meruba, and not even hefsid beinani, but a hefsid muat, that's also enough for Davar HaAvud. But if it's something negligible, something that people not goyris, then if you just decide you want to be makbid, then l'chayr there would be a tzad iser, because lefi this ravid and l'chayr la halacha, that if you have a mamish hefsid koldahu, that's already does not matter the heter of Davar HaAvud. 1 second, so let's just say, so let's talk about one case l'maisa. One case l'maisa we have in Davar HaAvud, watering your fields. So in Chazal, they were all watering their fields, meaning they need food. They don't have food, you die. That's usually what happens if you're ready. Masha ain't give this manenu. If you don't water your grass, so nothing happens, but your grass. It causes people a lot of agros nefesh. They put thousands of dollars, so expensive to keep, especially in places where it gets dry, to water the grass. It's mamish big avodah, big, you have to mashki a lot of money. So the person has beautiful green, lush green grass in front of his house, and there's common diaries, depends really on where you live. So, but if it's ba'ifin, that you have to take your hose and you have to water the grass with your hands. So, assume that's meimayim, you don't have to be doilo mashke. It's just watering your field. So if it's a real Davar HaAvud, and some people, it's like some places, if you don't water your green grass is going to turn brown, it's going to turn yellow, and then it never goes back, and it's mamish thousands of dollars. I mean, again, it's not, the hefsid is just what your mashkiya and what the yofi of your house, whatever it is. Otherwise, you're going to be mafsid everything your mashkiya. That's called Davar HaAvud, and you could definitely water from it. Let's say it's in a matzid, where it's a place that's not such a dry climate, and so you water your grass, whatever, twice a week. And that second time a week, so well, you forget about it, you're not so worried about it, it doesn't make such an afkamina. And if you skip once, it'll become a little bit schwacher maybe in a week's time. So it comes Erev Yontif Achrim, let's say, and it's a 3-day Yontif, whatever it is. And if you don't water the grass today, you know that by Motzei Yontif it's going to really be looking a little bit. Say after 2 weeks of watering, it will actually get back to normal. Could you take Pashik your thing and water the grass? So if it's going to be a nafkamina on the moyed, it's going to start turning yellow or brown on Chavis, it's sort of a moyed, it's nice and headed balm, water your grass. Let's say it's not. You know it's going to be a nafkamina, then if I don't water it now, after Yontif it's going to start getting a little shy.
Why is it so? Because you want it to be green?
Yeah. I mean, you understand, people pay like, you're not eating the grass.
No, you fertilized it and you put seeds down.
People spend thousands of dollars. Upkeep also is so expensive.
In LA. In LA they plant the grass too.
Oh, very the Stein is that you're. No, I don't think it's true. It's my sprinkler system broke. The sprinkler system broke. Place.
What's the hazard? Does it start to turn brown? Why does that make it better now?
If it starts turning brown, I don't want to turn brown. I want to enjoy my grass. I want to roll around in my grass. I don't want to do the grass. You look at it. But whatever the tzarech is, this is the problem. That's what I'm saying. Chazal, we're talking about food, living, and dying. We're talking about green grass. But mice is a tzarech. People think it's tzarech. So I think that's acceptable. It's an acceptable, normal thing that everyone knows. If you put $5,000 to put that in grass.
Would you say you can cut it also?
Yeah. I mean, again, so assuming it's not a mice.
Why wouldn't that just be the thing by washing the shape? Washing it, we don't cut it before.
It's for sure no Isser Kibbutz washing the grass.
No, cutting, kind of maybe by washing the shake is like a haircut, because you should have done it before.
No.
Your grass didn't grow so much in 3 days.
That's only if there's a special Xavier's Kibbutz, Xavier's Kibbutz. I think here's the question by Sandy.
Why is that?
Hey, we'll have to see that.
So someone has vegetables in the backyard.
No, so go to the store. Tell the story. That's already called, I think, hefsid muat. Because the Mars before talking about we're talking about losing an egg over there, a few eggs or something like that. It's the hefsid muat. I'm saying l'chor the mashmos to me, it has to be something negligible. Some people. So I think that is exactly the hafchana. If it's something that sometimes the guy's busy, when he's away for a week, does he call someone to water? So he comes back, it's a little yellow, and he waters it back. So that would l'chor be aser the money to be mashke if it's in such a matzah where it's
That's much by buying the peso. It's the difference between Sarah and Sarah not Sarah.
right. So it's another makar that so there it's like a middle darga for Pseida Muetas, wherever Pseida Beinani, we matter, but only my Sehadit. Saying it's another indication. I'm just saying the Ravid is taking us to a place where if it's mamish degel rolls up in Mukiyas, if your vegetables be such a cold who mashing not Negeya, then everything's awesome. It's not so.
So if someone has a vegetable garden, has like a HaAvud, and he doesn't water for a week, he'll water it after.
And it'll be fine.
Yeah. So it'll be awesome.
Unless you plan on eating it, no?
Doesn't that say?
We're trying to think they won't mask the tircha, the water, and also the tircha.
No tircha. It's malach. It's not a davar of it. If it's not a davar of it, it's malach shon tzarech hamayit.
Even though in the eyes of the world, it's not, vegetables are.
You know what? Let me just get to the next point, and we'll get back to that. So what if such one be mechalek a chiddush, and this brings us to the final nachash shlav in Shitas HaRavid. And I think every one of these comes out before daggers are halach l'maisa. So let's say the same person. It's not so chashiv, it's not such a big deal to him. He waters twice a week, but he has an automatic sprinkler system, which means that usually it's on a clock, it just goes by itself. But you know, on wall the clock gets messed up, so it's off, and it's erev yontif, and he doesn't want to go water that same very grass which we just asered. Everyone's asking, I don't know, but if you agree that might be aser, because it's moleches cholamoy, shlo tzarech hamayit, it's not a davar of it, it's negligible. So all he has to do is press the button. Press the button, turns it on, and the next 2 hours it's going to water the grass, and we'll have the greenness won't go down, so what would be the din b'chiyai gav? So b'chiyai gav, even if it's shaloi l'tzarech hamayit b'chal, and it's only going to start turning yellow la'achar hamayit, so it's totally loy l'tzarech hamayit, what? Why? So So the first thing that comes to mind is obviously what we discussed also way back, something that I think we have to go back into the circuit and find more eyes for. And that's the question, a clolistic question. Malacha on cholamoy that has absolutely no tircha. So we discussed that. Lagabe Taf Kufem came up question of the tilas kafshushis, the machiach, these shikis kam rishayit. That certain malachas which have absolutely no tircha l'chal, like the tilas kafshushis, so it's mutter even shalot tzarech hamayit. The divrei Mishnah Berurah ksas lamash became certainly some rishonim were like that. And that's what we discussed. The shaito, there's such a heter at all. Now, that heter would potentially apply here, not necessarily. Why not? Because, like we were stopping then, the gedarim of that halacha are very unclear. Maybe it has to be a klolistik malacha that generally is no tircha. Generally, to water a field could be a lot of tircha, whether it's on the industrial level, on the personal level. Okay, in a chanami, so boina in a chanami. So let's leave that. But that's a little bit of a complicated issue. You're saying gafshushis and tilas gafshushis. Maybe it's not. How are you doing the tilas gafshushis in a chanami? That would be one potential matter if you're matter, just like we spoke about people who walk out with tissues in Rosh Hashanah, you have to empty your pockets. So they bring the Shem Kaba Gedoyel that they were in Chmiro Atzma, but we pointed out that's considered a malach lo terchukal, yesh magam lahad mishum zeh. But even if you're machmer on that Shem, and you hold that malach lo terchuk is aser, so how could you matter even to press that one button to put on your sprinkler system? So gam zeh yesh magam loda lefi devrei raya. I'm going to be messiah with this, and this really is, we're going to see is very, very again copy the next. So you're going to talk to the test the question of Minias Revach Umas Hefser Akeren, and that's very again to the questions of pragmatia and schiras and simtach of test. There's and that brings us to another. It's another Ravid. Rosh brings the Ravid, and Yus brings the Ravid here in Oisei test. So the Rosh, the end of the first parak, Mam Shalesh Nikol, he asks a question. He has a stira in two halachas. And mitzad echad, there's mashmos that from the niyas revach, not losing anything, you're just going to miss out on gaining. You cannot do malacha. And the idach, he has a stira that for a certain kind of pragmata, if you have a good business deal that you might miss, so you're allowed to do malacha. So he declares this stira, and it brings us to a close to a question. Let's say you're not going to lose. Everything Davar we're talking about is that you have something in your hands, in your field, in your property, you're going to lose it. Let's say you're not going to lose something you have, you're just going to lose out the opportunity to gain. That's called B'niyas Revach. Is that considered Davar? So the Rosh brings from the Ravid, he asks a stira about this. There's two answers. The Rosh, we have to see that, we'll see more about it in Tafkman Tes. But the second answer of the Rosh is, which is in the Ravid.
The first answer.
What? We're skipping the first answer for now. The second answer of the Rosh Hashem Ravid is that you're right. B'niyas Revach that's like less than the least hefsid. We said in the right, even a hefsid cold is usher. This is less than just a little hefsid. It's no hefsid at all. You're just mania of what you could potentially get. Says the Rosh Hashem the Ravid l'chayra, and l'chayra is the Ravid l'shitas. Says the Ravid, yeah, but l'umas the b'niyas reva. What are you mattering? Pragmatia. There's no malach involved. Ein shalom kach lashon Rosh Hashem Ravid. There's no malach involved. There's no tirch involved. Pashut mazamatin. You take out the checkbook. I know what you do. You sell the schayra, and the Arabs schlep it onto the truck. So if there's no malachim, there's no tircha. Klape zeh. Even b'niyas revach is enough. Even b'niyas revach is l'chayr called a davar avi. Now the Rosh doesn't call it a davar avi over there, but the Nebuka Yosef and Davav, what's that? Well, Ayin Sham. He's asking steers from two Gemaras whether b'niyas revach is mutter or not. And he has one Gemara that's before it's mutter. So he's explaining the reason. He has it's a Yerushalmi that pragmat is mutter better. So the lashon of Nebuka Yosef, who seems to put together two answers, Ayin Sham and Davav. He called Makom midi the lecha tircha going mekach onemker mikri davara avi. He's talking about something which is not a davar avi. He's talking about niyas revach and pragmatic. It's mikri davara avi, and the chayretz heinei advar, meaning on the scale of things. So even though something that's mamish negligible davar avi, so you can't water your grass, even though you're losing something. And here you're not even losing anything; you're just missing out on the game. But the umazez of you always have to look at avedasai lefi tirchasai lefi avedasai. So if you have something which is no tircha and no malacha, so then even miniyas revach klape zeh is considered a hefsid. I think that pressing the button to put on the sprinkler system is certainly no tirach. It's much less tirach than pragmatic. It's malacha. So Ayin Sham, I can't get a brother now, but Ayin Sham, I don't think it's malacha tali milsi. I don't think it's any sword to say it's tali malacha. All the hadgash of the Rishonim, there's less pay malacha, less pay tircha, really means there's less pay malacha, there is pay tircha. There's no tircha. Pressing a button, even if it would be malacha, l'maisa, being that there's no tircha klal ve'ikr, l'chari, that's enough to say that even for harvacha, it's the chiddush, and doing malacha shalot tircha mayit would be mutter. Ubiyoser yesh la'ayin is that I'm not sure this is malacha, and that gets into inkam makom harach bazeh, but that's a very old question, like the Chazon Ish declared, if you have a machine that mows the lawn, you press the button, so you're for sure chayav for pressing the button. With whatever malacha, that's the malacha of turning on chashmal. But the actual charisha or the katsira, did I do malachas katsira zriya? That's a big shayla. Yesh makom gadol loymar, so I didn't do zriya katsira, the machine did it. I pressed the button, so I activated chashmal, so if chashmal is boiling, so maybe I did that. But l'chayra, the actual zriya and hashka over here, yesh lodin that's not, it's not nechshav. It's not nechshav be'emes that I'm being oisim lacha, but afal be'emes, it seems that even if it would have a shem malacha, l'chayr the ikr dagesh of the Rishonim there is it's tircha, and that's the Ravid's whole sliding scale. But if it didn't, so that it's another darga cheetah Ravid, that something has less pay tirach v'tircha garnish v'dish. So even if it's no tircha, no tirach klal, feed this Ravid the mashal. I just want to press the button to turn on the sprinkler to shoot water into the air. That might be also. That might be mutter machmas the first time because malacha b'loiter. But I'm saying even without that heta, it's time you're allowed to do malacha shakoldu. Let's say malacha shakoldu are aser, but here you're allowed to do it. It's up to Ravid because the tzorich of having revach la'achar hamoyed, the tzorich la'achar hamoyed is enough. The menias revach is called the davar avi. It's enough to get into the parsha of tzorich hamoyed, the matter the sprinkler system.